Hey, Topping Life Math and History, and we are gonna learn about probability. So, when you hear the word probability, you probably heard about what are the chances? What will happen? What's the future? What would happen if I roll a 6 on a dice? What are the chances of this happening? Well, that is exactly what's going to happen. Because probability is all about guessing and predicting and what will actually happen. Here's an example. We have a 6-sided dice. Say I wanted to roll a number 6, but I can't literally make the dice roll a 6. We have to guess and roll it. The thing is, there is an amount of chance. Hey, there we go. There's a certain amount of chance that the dice will roll a 6. However, if there are more possible outcomes, or if the dice somehow got a lot more sides in it, rolling a 6 is a lot more complex than you think. So it'll take a little while for me to roll a 6, or if I get lucky enough. If you really want to calculate the probability or the size between these dices, or other possible outcomes, like the lottery or something, then you use this formula right here. The selected outcome divided by the number of all possible outcomes. So just like in that dice example, if I wanted to roll a 6, and there are 6 options, but I choose one number, there's a really good chance I might roll a 6. But if I choose the 20-sided dice, rolling a 6 is a lot more harder because there are more options on the dice, or more all possible outcomes on the dice. So we're gonna see that probability stuff in action by doing a duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! So let's start dueling!
To be the greatest, you gotta take chances.
Then you must take every chance you can get, Yuma.
A true duelist takes on all challenges, so I'll take you on.
Duel!
My turn.
No, it's my turn.
Go, Yuma.
Yeah! I summon a monster. I activate my monster's effect.
So, there is a spell card that we have drawn, and we want to use it. The thing is, when we use that spell card, we have to use a dice. And the dice has a bunch of options, and it can be used for probability. However, there are 2 effects the spell card can have while using a dice roll, or depending on a dice roll. There's one. If you roll numbers 1 or a 6, then the card goes back into your hand, and you can reuse the spell card the next turn. Or, option number 2 is, if you roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, you can get a monster card from the deck and summon it. Or actually leave it in your hand. When you use the formula for probability, select an outcome divided by all possible outcomes, and a dice has 6 possible outcomes, we can say 6 is the bottom number of the fraction, or the denominator. The selected outcome is going to be the numerator. I'm going to say 1, because I want to see how much percentage, one number would appear on a dice roll. If you do 1 divided by 6, you would get 0.6666667 repeating. Or if you want to put it into a percentage, you have 16.666666 repeating. 0.16 is a decimal, while 16.66 is a percentage. That's for if you want to say 1 dice roll, or 1 number that you want. But since we have 2, we can actually double it, because we have 2 out of 6. 2 out of 6 is going to represent 33%. 16.33333. So 16.66, 16.66. Having a spell card be putting back into your hand is going to be 33% chance. What about the other one? Well, if it's in percentage, and everything here is basically in percentage, that all possible outcomes is always 100%, then we can say that the other side is 66.66% chance repeating. So there's a higher probability that you can grab a monster card from the deck to your hand than reusing the spell card and having to put it back into your hand. So what do you think will happen? Will we put it back in our hand or put a monster in our hand? Let's see.
From my hand, I activate a quick play spell. I set a card. I end my turn.
What should our next move be?
No one messes with Joey Wheeler. It's my turn. I draw. Let's do this. I summon a monster in attack position. I end my turn.
My turn.
Oh, it's my turn. I draw.
Okay, so we got a new monster in our hand. Let's continue with the game. The thing is, we are now going to summon a monster, not a spell card this time. The Goddess of Wind. Instead of a dice roll, we're going to use something a little bit different. We are going to use coins. Coins are a lot easier to calculate when it comes to probability, because there's only two options. There's of heads or tails, or they represent 50-50 chance. There's a 50% chance you get heads, and a 50% chance you get tails. When you summon the Goddess of Wind, you can flip a coin. However, if you have to guess it correctly. If you flip a coin and guess it correctly, the attack points of that monster are doubled. However, if you guess it incorrectly, that means your attack points for that monster is cut in half. So, we have to actually guess it correctly and flip the coin. Will we guess heads or tails? Type in the comments below what do you think would happen and what do you think it would land up. If you calculated this in your probability, then you would do 1/2, one chance something will happen out of two outcomes. Or you can do 100% because that's all the outcomes. Divide that by 2. That will give you a 50-50 chance. So you can do it either way, a fraction form or percentage form. Let's see what it actually lands on.
I'll play this. I summon a monster. I activate my monster's effect. Check out my set card. I activate a quick play spell. Battle, go! Attack! Here goes! Take this direct attack. I end my turn.
Likes of you.
Do not let your guard down like you usually do, Yuma.
Here we come.
You have the winning formula in hand.
I draw.
Okay, so we got it correct, and our attack points doubled. We also inflicted a lot of damage to our opponent. Let's continue and see what the next card is. So, the next card is another monster card, but this time, instead of having 2 dice rolls, or unless of having 1 single coin flip, we're gonna have 2 coin flips, which are gonna be 50 for 1 coin, and 50 and 50 for the other coin. There's another thing. In order to activate the effect of that monster, what we can do during that effect is we can get rid of a monster on the opponent's side of the field when you do this effect. It means that you have to have both heads on both coins. That means it is going to work, and we're going to get rid of that monster. If you get a heads and a tails, it's not going to work, and the effect is not going to happen. If you get tails and tails while activating that effect, it's not going to work. You must have heads and heads. There are 3 possible outcomes, but there is only one outcome that can help us get to our effect and get rid of that monster on the opponent's side of the field. It's not going to be 33, 33, 33, or 33, 66. Instead, it's going to be 25% chance you will get heads, a 50% chance you will get heads and tails, and a 25% chance you will get tails and tails. But why 50%? Well, even though you see 3 possible outcomes, there's actually 4. Because maybe, even though you have heads and tails, you can get tails and heads instead, causing it to increase by another 50%. If you have 4 outcomes, and 100% is the entire circle, each slice would represent 25%. But having heads and the tails is going to represent 50. You can have heads, tails, or tails, heads. So that's why it's these percentages. Let's see what happens. Do we get heads, 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 tails, tails, heads, or tails, tails? Let's see.
Here I go! I summon a monster! I activate my monster's effect!
Stay focused, Yugioh.
Don't worry about me! Let's battle! Here goes! I attack with my monster!
I can't lose to the likes of you!
Go! Take this direct attack!
Ah! What's up?
I'll never give up, as long as I feel the flow!
So, looks like our effect didn't work because we got heads and tails. We probably knew about this because that was the most common outcome that was going to happen. Getting a heads and a tails. And, even though we got unlucky about that, we still won the duel. We got our opponent's life points down to 0. And we have won the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel! I hope this video has helped you understand what the chances are and what probability is. Thank you for watching Tao Ping Lives the Math Industry. Like and subscribe!